Alright, match 3. Let's see how this goes. And yeah, I'm gonna keep. This is another really nice place where Forgotten Cave shines actually a lot more than a Horizon land, because I am gonna cycle this at end of turn with 3 lands. See, the thing is that if I knew for a fact that I would not draw land for the rest of the game, then I would play Forgotten Cave. Most of the time, though, I am gonna draw more land. And I like cycling because it actually cycles me to more business, but it also cycles me to more land. So just, cycling for 1, I think, is where it's at here. And this is not something I could do with a Horizon land. Obviously there will be situations. Basically, anytime I have to play Forgotten Cave tap, for the most part, is worse than Horizon land, because it's both worse tempo, and and I actually can't draw a card off of it later. But in situations like this, Forgotten Cave is far superior. Yeah, and see, there's another land. I am not going to Firebolt light up the stage. I do suspect the opponent is on some type of shadow deck. That seems to be all the rage these days, and I'm glad that I seem to be better at. I seem to be getting better at facing these decks. Another reason why is because if I hit 2 lands, it's kind of brutal. I'll let them take their pick between Bone Crusher and Light Up. In the past, I would probably Bone Crusher myself just to get it in exile so they can't take it. But the problem there is that because of Scourge, like I've said before, I really want to keep my life total at 20 as much as possible. Yeah, that kind of punishes me for not Firebolting, but I think patience is really where it's at. I don't know what else to say. So I'm going to put Obosh. Feels strange to say it that way. I'm going to put Obosh, or there's a lot of different ways I suppose you can pronounce it. Obosh, Obosh, Obosh. Well, whatever. If anybody has definitive proof that you're supposed to call it Obosh or Obosh or whatever else people are calling it, then let me know. I think I'll stick to Obosh. I think I'll ditch the Flame Slash here. It's the most situational card out of all of this. And I don't know if this is actually Shadow. I would suspect it is. Everybody and their mother is playing Shadow these days. But it actually kind of looking like it's 8 rack. I haven't seen this deck in a while. I've got options. I kind of like the idea of jamming Season Pyro, and then just flooding the board with tokens. But the problem is then they tick up Liliana again, but I'll have a lot of cards to work with. I can also just cleanly deal with Liliana, but the problem there then is if I don't draw a land, then I can never land Obosh. So you know what? I'm going to play Season Pyro, mostly because I want to be able to. Also, this will help protect Obosh from future Liliana sack effects, having these 2 tokens. And I will, and it feels bad to ditch a Bone Crusher, but hey, there's another one. Nice consolation prize. Unfortunately, I do think I'm going to have to discard it, most likely. I really want to slam this Obosh. I don't think they usually play Dismember, at least not in the main deck. I don't know, it doesn't seem like a sideboard card to me, but I don't think they usually play Dismember, so... Ooh, this is bad. This puts me in a tough spot. I think I have to hope that I draw land next turn. This was definitely a downside to taking this line, for sure. Because I have to imagine they tick up. It's just better for them than ticking down. I still don't regret this play, though, because definitely that was surprising. I got a Thoughtseize or something. Maybe they do have Dismember. I think Dismember is a very underrated card. I think it makes a lot of sense in any deck that has black, Shadow or not. I've always liked it. Back when I played Mono Black Obliterator, Dismember was one of the marquee cards. It's so flexible. You can play it in turn 1, or you can play it on turn 3 for 0 life. Always sweet. Well, I don't know. So the opponent wants to give me a clean ability to deal with Liliana. I'm going to attack with both, because I just have a... No. A Fatal Push, unless they play like, what's it called, Disfigure. I mean, you know, the Fatal Push ain't going to do it. So even if they got Dismember, I have to imagine Dismember is going after Obosh rather than Season Pyro. Yeah. And sticking Obosh, I think, helps us a lot. Alright, and there's the Fatal Push, but they can only play that after we kill their Liliana to trigger Revolt. Okay, okay. Okay. It's gonna take 4 damage. I kind of think maybe, I'm thinking about just holding on to this. I'm gonna flashback to Season Pyro tokens. And attack for 6. Then I'll give them a free block with Mutavault. If they block, they gotta pay. Alright. So this is another nice thing about this deck is I can play a lot of action out of my graveyard, so that I don't really have to. And it was probably correct actually to wait to see how they'd go, and then because I could have flashback Firebolt maybe if they didn't block anything, because then the elementals lose a lot of value. But here I'm gonna get 2 more elementals, so I can play to the board while hoarding cards to my hand, which is nice. And thankfully I take 2 here. So let's attack first. I think they got any haste creatures. Alright, and I guess I'll just continue flashing back Pyro tokens. They don't have a way to strip my hand and deal me 5 damage. Ooh. Well, deal 0 damage, which is nice. The good news is this is lethal. Yeah, harder to tap the lands under Urborg. And Season Pyro, definitely showing a lot of worth there. Now, question is it worth it to bring in Blood Moon? The thing to remember about Blood Moon is that because it shuts off utility lands, sometimes it actually has value, like as a 2-of, even in monocolor decks, because if they play 4 Mutavaults and we play 2 Blood Moons, we have the potential to get a clean 2-for-1. Plus, it actually does cut them off a black with Urborg, if we stick it first. Of course, if they play Urborg afterwards, then it solves any color issue. It also shuts off the Castle Garenbrig. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually, I've talked myself into playing Blood Moon as a 2-of. I know. It doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it'd be good. And I guess I might as well play 2 relics. I just don't think I want to be playing Shattering Sprees. As we saw that game, we can kind of handle the racks without artifact hate, and yeah. Plus, Shrieking Affliction can't get hit by Shattering Spree anyway. I don't know that we need more than 2 relics. I kind of like the rest of these. Actually, I do kind of like Relic though, because it allows me to play to the board early on, while also representing more cards in hand later if I want to cash them in to protect myself. Could be very good, actually, now that I think about it. It's probably better than Firebolt. I think Firebolt's kind of medium. Or Lava Dart might be medium. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm going to take out 2 Lava Darts, just because I think that they play a lot of removal, and I think Firebolt being able to burn them out is actually kind of sweet. It does actually even represent more total damage during the course of a game than Lightning Bolt. I think this is good. Let's see how this goes. Alrighty. Excuse me if there's some noise in the background, but I kind of need some AC here. So we gotta remember we're on the rack. I mean, we're against the rack. Can't really mulligan this. It's card advantage. Got a lot of playing to the board. I'm a little surprised the opponent brought in Leyline. I mean, it does stuff, but we don't have Bedlam Reveler. I mean, maybe they thought we were also on Bedlam Reveler in addition to all this other jank. I don't know. I assume the opponent knows what they are doing. I can't say that I agree with this, but then again, like 90% of everything I've done, I'm pretty sure very few people agreed with, at least at first. Sometimes you just got to try stuff. I mean, like Blood Moon against Red Black Prowess, Scourge Prowess. I mean, I don't know that I can. Well, okay, I don't know. Now I really question, because I really have to imagine Light Up the Stage was the better pick somewhere down the line here. I don't know. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm really not. I just kind of feel like the opponent might not be showcasing the rack as good. I have actually seen some. I have run into some very good. I mean, not that my opponent isn't good, but like I have run into like some very skilled rack players, and actually, so I'm not saying the rack is like tier 1 or anything, but I've actually run it. I think it's called 8 rack. I have actually run into some players that have played it very carefully, very skilled, and it can actually be a very good deck. It's kind of like the Black Merfolk in that sense. It can be very deceptively powerful, actually, believe it or not. I hear Forgotten Caves are not at their best, but what can we do? So I'm just going to play the Forgotten Cave. I do need the mana. Blood Moon would have been good there, actually, shutting off Mutavault. But we still got another one in the deck. We don't really need it anyway. It's definitely not one of the strongest cards. Yeah, fine. You can take my Swift Spear. And if you want to play a rack, then you're going to expose yourself to a bunch of damage, which you might anyway if I draw like a Lava Dart or something. I love this art. Well, this could be totally wrong, but I'm going to do the mana efficient thing and just put Obosh in my hand. Opponent's pretty light on cards. Another Wrench Mine would be brutal, but, yeah, I can live with that. Alright, and see, rewarded for holding off on the Firebolt. Take 3 less damage. Thing is, anything can happen. Like, if they drop Ensnaring Bridge, I gotta get in as much damage as I can. So, for that reason, I'm gonna shove. They do play Ensnaring Bridge. I think they really should. If, it's an incredibly powerful card. Little surprised that they took all. I would have thought they'd block Blister Coil with Mutavault, but, we'll see. Yeah, the moment they draw Ensnaring Bridge, I mean, it becomes having to burn them out, because I got no answers. So, definitely shoving with a bunch of damage helps out a lot. So then I have to block, or it's a good game, but pretty close to good game even if they animate Mutavault. I don't get why they didn't do this last turn, because they could have at least traded with a creature last turn. No offense to the opponent, but definitely I don't think they're showcasing the rack as well as it could. This is absolutely one of these decks that I could see myself playing if I want some type of mono black strategy to add to the jank that I play. And I don't mean that as any offense to anybody who plays offbeat cards. I don't actually think of the term jank as a negative at all. Maybe I should, so I apologize if anybody doesn't like my use of that term in Magic. I know it's so weird. It's just a weird community in a way. Magic is like something like jank. So, could maybe be offensive, but all right, sweet. But yeah, I mean, like, I like these offbeat type cards. That's what I mean when I use the term jank. I like these offbeat type cards. I love this stuff, and I also love being able to showcase. I mean, being able to do well with kind of offbeat. Okay, little aside time. I don't know when else I'm gonna feel the inspiration to drop this little thing, but I also follow Street Fighter a bit. I'm not necessarily nearly as much as Magic, and not necessarily that much at all since like the last 4 or 5 years or so. But actually, the last time I was sort of following it, and I mean like Street Fighter 2, the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo or Street Fighter 2 the Grandmaster Challenge, I think it's called in Japan, like the last iteration of Street Fighter 2. Um, there's a little funny story. There's actually this character called T-Hawk who was actually regarded at one point, if I'm not mistaken, as the lowest tier character. Like, maybe even lower than like Zangief and Cammy. These other characters regarded as kind of low tier, because like he's kind of funky. He has like grappling type moves like Zangief, but I don't think, yeah, his SPD range, that's what they call spinning pile driver. That's like, that means like a command grab. I can't really explain all of Street Fighter, but I don't know how widely known the game is. But anyway, the point is he's like a grappling type character, but he doesn't have as long reach as Zangief. He doesn't. He also has a bigger hitbox, even bigger than Zangief. His moves are kind of slow. He's kind of a clunky character, you could say. His sweep, which is one of the moves that is very important in the game, is kind of slow. It's actually one of the slowest sweeps in the game. Anyway, long story short, there's a lot that's really funky and kind of not good looking about T-Hawk, but some very dedicated characters, some very dedicated players, just jam the heck out of playing T-Hawk, and they figured out some very interesting things about the character. It's really hard to explain, but suffice it to say that due to some peculiarities in how his throw mechanics work, um, he can do almost like inescapable looping grab combos, especially in the corner. And because players just couldn't give up the idea of trying to make T-Hawk work, he actually, I mean, last time I was following it, he actually became like, I think top tier if I'm not mistaken. Some very good players actually started picking him up and doing very well with him. And so that, just little aside, I don't know when else I'd feel inspired to just mention this, but believe it or not, it's not just Magic. Sometimes if you jam, jank, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, sometimes jank can become tier one, and it's not just Magic where that can happen. So yeah, I don't know. Just felt like sharing that. Um, so we'll see. I like the rack. I don't think they played it as well as they could have, but also I think our particular strategy lines up a bit better than a lot of other type of strategies. But hey, let's let's keep on chugging.